Well, it's week 4 of LCS with coverage brought to you by Alienware. It's the first day, Friday here. I'm joined right now by Johnsun from FlyQuest to chat a little bit about how things are going with FlyQuest. It's been a tough start to the split, I feel like, for you guys, which is sad because I think you guys have such a wholesome group of players. Why are you guys struggling a little bit?
Right now, as a team, we're struggling with in-game decisions, or like we're just randomly inting, whether it's like dragon or like the mid game. And sometimes our drafts are not. We're kind of inting it too,
Yeah.
or like we're randomly doing things or like drafting stuff that we weren't planning on drafting. Sometimes in a couple of our losses, in some of the games we lost, also it was quite winnable, but just this there's like this one random pick we don't have, or that we're drafting, which is like not ideal, or we're just making too many random mistakes.
Sorry, 1 second. I just noticed that for some reason it's not recording your camera, so we're going to have to use a funny picture of you. Okay, there we go. Now people can see you. Before then, people were only seeing a little picture of you that we found. Regardless, so you guys are making some random mistakes, but you also think some of it is draft. What is going on? And kind of maybe you can pull back a bit of the layer on how draft works with FlyQuest, because some people, all teams do it differently. So how does this work? Are you being dictated to by the coaches, or is it all the team's fault? What's going on?
So when it comes to draft, we talk about like our priorities. Like I guess every team has a priority list, and like what's OP and what's not OP. And then sometimes we ban the wrong champion, let's say, and we pick the other champ. But like that wasn't part of the plan in the beginning, and then just like it keeps escalating, and then we have like a okay draft, but it wasn't what we came into the game going with.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's just a sort of a matter of how things end up going down. Now, what is it like playing with Diamond? Because obviously, new face of the LCS. So how have you been managing that relationship and playing with him?
My relationship with Diamond, where we knew each other before in solo queue, and I'm generally on good terms with most supports in NA. So we have like a good relationship, and I guess playing with him, it's a new experience. He's also kind of a vet, in the sense that he's played for a couple of years compared to me. So it's still good to get different views on how to play lane or like the game. Like I'm always down to like learn from my mistakes. I've made like a lot of mistakes in the beginning of the season, obviously, and I've worked on most of them with tips from Diamond and others. So it's pretty good.
Okay, so this is funny because I think a lot of people would be like, "Well, Johnson has more LCS experience than Diamond, but Diamond, who's just shown up this year for the first time in the LCS, you think that he's actually helping you out a lot."
Yeah, we're kind of helping each other out.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay. So, I mean, it's cool to hear that that's sort of the dynamic between you two, and like that you can work together to grow as a team. Now, other than that, I mean, what other teams in the LCS are you looking up to right now, if any? I mean, I don't know if you're like, oh, we could take any of these teams if we get the right draft, or if there are any that you look at and you're like, oh man, that's a play style that I'd really like to play.
Right now in the LCS, I think the two teams that are like, well, after today, like the TSM TL game, it's hard to say what my second option is. But
Yeah.
right now, C9 is a team to look for. I think they're more flexible, and regardless of if like players are underperforming, they have like these core players like Sven, Vulcan, Blabber, who always perform and like can claw their way back into games, like even against us. Like they just know how to win with the lead and without a lead. And then my second option would have been like TL, but
But you're a little questionable
the,
after today.
yeah, they're kind of like hinting a bit with their
Yes.
scoreline. Like TSM was not doing too hot, but like they have like the second best record, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, very good. How has it been playing for FlyQuest? Because this is the first time interview that you and I have done since you joined the team.
playing with FlyQuest, um, is like a fresh new experience. Also learning to be more of a like stepping up as a player when it comes to like being vocal in game and out of game. I think before I was kind of a shy guy, and I was just saying like the minimal, because I was also having good guidance with Afro, and he kind of just like covers up most of my mistakes, or like I'll cover up his.
Yeah.
We had like that kind of relationship. I've just been more like vocal when it comes to like macro decision making and drafts. Um, Like I'm very like annoying about it.
Really? How annoying?
Yeah. Well, like I'll just like be nitpicky about like this draft. I'm like, can we do this or that? Like, what
Yeah.
happens if we do this? I
Gotcha.
just want like the
You're more assertive.
obvious.
You can be
Yeah.
assertive. You don't have to be annoying, Johnson. Like, just call it assertive. It's very different.
Okay, assertive.
Very good. Well, look, I don't like if you're not comfortable. We don't have to talk about this, but I do want to just really quickly see if you have any thoughts on the import stuff, especially since you're one of the rising NA stars over the past year or two.
When it comes to the import rule, I think from my own perspective, I think we should like keep it. Obviously, I'm NA, but like if you look at like all the new players that came into the league like this year and last year, it was like such a low like number, right? And then like as veterans also retire, like Double F, Beerson and stuff, like there's new spots to fill in. But if we just like tell everyone there's no such thing as import rule, and like you could just get 5 imports, you could just kind of like find players from Korea or like China or even EU who have like experience or like have like a hot shot year, and you could just like import them. Whereas like in NA, like some of these academy players play for like 2-3 years, and then if they're lucky to get a shot, like for example, like GTS, they're having like money issues, right?
Yeah.
Which is why they like dropped their whole roster. Like all these new players are getting opportunities, like Ablaze Olive, Niles, Iconic, regardless of if they're from academy or not. And like if let's say they could have got like 5 imports, they could have also bought imports for cheaper, right?
Right. Yeah. No, it's a very good point. Yeah.
I think it's good to also have imports to like make the region stronger, like with Core JJ and stuff like that. But sooner or later, the more imports you have compared to like any talent. Also, actually, for any talent, it's harder to like get good practice and like get people to see you because like any solo queue is kind of a joke, right?
Yeah.
Like there's some people who don't try hard as much.
Well,
or,
that's
like,
what Revenge was
regions,
saying, is that scouting is really not great in North America.
Yeah, and then like some academy or like amateur teams, like they don't like coach properly, so like you're kind of just wasting like a year or two in academy, like not really learning anything
Yeah.
because you don't have like the proper infrastructure. I think EG is a good team when it comes to like amateur infrastructure. Like they have like they pay their players, they sponsor them, they have like a coach. Obviously, maybe they're not performing as well in the amateur scene, but that's what every team needs, I think.
Yeah. It's great to get your insight onto that. I know you just lost, so I don't want to keep you for too long. I'm sure you got a meeting and stuff to go off to. Players hate doing interviews after losses, so I appreciate you doing it regardless. But is there anything that you want to say to any of the fans out there?
I would like to thank any of the fans I have for supporting me and my transition to a new team. And hopefully we'll start getting some wins because this is giving me flashbacks.
Yes. Well,
And
hopefully so. Yeah.
yeah.
Very good. Again, thank you so much, Johnsun, for the interview. Really appreciate the conversation. Looking forward to seeing you, as you said, hopefully pick up some more wins in the near future and see you continue. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things LCS right here on my YouTube channel. Hello, it is I, Travis Gafford, speaking to you live from this pre-recorded video, which means it's not live, to tell you about Alienware. Alienware.com/Travis. Travis10 off is the code that you want to use. That's in the description of this video, just in case you don't feel like rewinding it again to check them out. But it's very important that you check out that Alienware website, because if you don't, then it's harder for me to make these videos, because they just decide that everyone has decided to hate me, and then it all goes away. Everything I built, this media empire, it just hangs on the precipice of you clicking that link and checking their stuff out. I mean, that's a little dramatic. I'm exaggerating. It's not actually that crazy, but it's 2021. It's all about creating a sense of urgency. Like everything has to be urgent. And that's what I'm trying to do with this. Because if it's not urgent, then you're going to think something else is urgent because somebody else made a Twitter post about something. And then you'll think, well, that's more urgent than the thing Travis is talking about in his outro. And that's kind of where humanity has gone. And so it's forced me to do outros like this. And, but you know what is urgent?